Hello, MAGFest 2024. How are we doing tonight? Awesome.
I almost clapped out of habit.
All right, so we're gonna get started here in just a few minutes. How's everybody doing tonight? It's been a great con so far. I've seen so many amazing cosplays. We got Frieza in the back already. That's amazing.
Hey, we're for GDAT.
Awesome.
See a chainsaw man in the middle there.
Yeah.
Hello.
Chris just got a Pochita plush today, was it? Yeah?
Yeah, Pochita.
Nice.
Pochita.
I should have brought him, but it's our buddy.
All right. Well, so let's get started. No reason holding back. All right, so who the hell are we and why are we here? We are 3-Beat Games. I am Caden, CEO, co-founder, and lead designer.
I'm Evan, a freelance programmer and sound designer that sometimes works with them.
I'm Claire. I'm a freelance programmer and an artist.
I'm Chris. I'm the social media manager, co-founder, and the local Midwesterner.
And we do have a fifth member, John, who is currently battling with a severe case of food poisoning in our hotel room, so we have replaced him with the cockeyed plush of this Totodile.
His name is Buddy.
We have achieved the stellar rating of 0 published games, so everything that we're about to say, you can completely ignore. So, let's start at the beginning. We, about a year and a half ago now, were playing Deep Rock Galactic, and we were like, you know what's wrong with this picture? We're not drunk enough. So
We're not dwarves.
Exactly. So we looked up on the internet to see if we could find anything, and everything we found was fucking terrible. It was either way too short, or something like, if you get hit, take a sip. If you kill an enemy, take a sip. Just super boring, super lame. We didn't like it.
Also could kill you.
Also, it was super unbalanced. So, what did we do? Well, we put our heads together, and we made the Abyss Challenge. Over the course of a couple days, John, Bunner, myself, and a little bit of Chris put together this Abyss Challenge. All of this was formatted by John, so it looks really, really nice. But we decided to take a crack at it, and we made the decision to sort of go with the concept of not punishing you for something that the game has thrown at you, but punishing you for your own failures, basically.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. The idea is that the game, being random, as it is, and highly skill-based, the few times that you'll slip up, you know, you'll drink for that, and then start slipping up more and more, and then the night devolves into chaos, and you wake up in the front lawn with your pants off.
Hopefully not that last one.
Yeah, hopefully not that last part.
That happened,
if
that
you're
last one
boring. So we ended up coming up with the splits between sips and shots, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Everyone versus individual. We have class-specific drinking and mode-specific. Thank you, I forgot the word. Mode-specific drinking, and there will be a link later that you can go to this and look at it and use it. Please use it, edit it as you wish, with the information that you will gain from this panel. And we were like, this is awesome, let's test it. So we joined the Deep Rock Galactic Discord channel, which if any of you are in that is ginormous. And I posted in the chat, I'm like, hey, I made a drinking game. Is it okay to post it here? And was completely ignored. So I waited about a week and then I posted it anyway, and I think like 2 people saw it. But that was our first ever, like, public published thing, and it was cool.
In personal testing, when we decided to test it, we encountered a dreadnought swarm immediately, which that's probably the most punished thing you could possibly get. So
during testing, before this, while we were playing the game to figure out what we should even put in the game, we encountered no dreadnoughts. When we started playing the game, we encountered both the dreadnought swarm and 3 separate dreadnought spawns, which killed at least one of us each time, which hadn't happened in like the 40 hours of gameplay that we had played before this.
Dreadnought being one of the mini bosses in the game.
40 hours for you, really?
Look, may be less of a gamer than you, but it's okay. Anyway, so that's where we began. But now we're here, and why the hell do we want to create a drinking game in the first place?
So, honestly, it's just a fun time to have with friends, because overall, the biggest draw to a drinking game is to be doing something with your friends and to really mostly just mess around and get each other inebriated, because what's funnier than a friend? An inebriated friend. Beyond that, it's also a good exercise in designing and balancing a game. It's relatively small scale, and it's something that you can pretty easily test yourself, especially with a group of friends. And honestly, why not? There's really a few reasons not to, but that's mostly dependent on the game that you want to make it for or the group that you're intending to make it for.
Awesome. Next slide.
Yeah.
All right.
So, what you want to look for when building a drinking game of any kind, first off, you need to know one thing. A video game drinking game is not a passive drinking game. It is not, over the course of the game, you are drinking. It is you are doing something that deserves to be drinking. The sort of punishment, you've heard it all before, the shots at death at Dark Souls or something similar. And you just want to keep that in mind when you're building it. You want to punish, not just have the game go on and then drink because the game happened. Another thing, a really big thing to keep in mind is tolerances, because all of us are built different in some way, shape, or form. Some of us, probably drink a lot. Some of us probably don't drink at all and are just getting into it.
Even on this panel, we have a whole range of body shapes and sizes, and all of our tolerances are completely different.
I'm 6'4" and 285 pounds. I have never been drunk in my life, despite putting back probably more alcohol than I should have on my first time drinking. And exactly.
So that's just one thing you want to keep in mind. So while you do want to keep kind of a general purpose, it just makes sure that you do understand that you're not just the one playing, but people like Claire, Evan, or Caden are playing, and you don't know what could happen, and you don't want to damage somebody. And another big thing, don't put punishments for any common events in the game, just because, again, that's just going to cause more problems down the line. So, with this in mind, who here has played The Darkest Dungeon? Woo! Okay, few hands. So if you don't know what it is, basically Sadness, the video game.
Suffer.
So I came up with this idea. Small reminder, I'm a Midwesterner. I decided to work at a Tyson beef processing plant, night shift. Not fun. So during that time, I created what I call the Drunkest Dungeon. This up next is the V1. Just take a small read of this real quick and just tell me what is wrong with it.
You'll probably be able to spot it right away.
Yeah.
The entire mechanic of the game that you have to work around for the entire game.
The thing you take like 4 of, like just going from room to room, drink. So this is someone who didn't know what they were doing, me. And so all I can say about this is it is very bad, and that legally I can't say you can do it. But if you do want to do it, please meet me afterwards. I'll give you all of my social media to credit me in Twitch streams, YouTube videos, or whatever. Come on, don't. Up next is what I call the V2 version, the better of the two. As you can see, it deals more with what they were doing with the Abyss Challenge, kind of more towards, I guess, random and punishing events. Like the klepto stealing things. You kind of do have it in the beginning, but it happens every once in a while. But it's just a drink. It is not a shot. Things like dying or coming across things that you very much could have avoided. but chose not to, that's when you would shoot or take a shooter.
The trigger trap but didn't see it. Occultist heals for 0. Things that you take the risk of happening, and then if it does turn out bad, you have the drink as sort of the extra punish on top of that. Alright, so let's talk about mechanical hooks, because a game is not a game without mechanics. So the first thing in order to create the game is you need to look at the game that you're playing in order to play the game to create the game. So what that actually means, and not stupid talk, is each game has a different set of criteria that you need to look at in order to base your drinking criteria around it. If I'm playing Minecraft and I want to take a drink for every like PvP kill I get, and I'm playing Minecraft Hunger Games, that seems pretty balanced. But if I'm playing a chill game like Flower for the PS3, which is a bit of a stretch if any of you would even know that is, there are no enemies in the game. You play as the wind. You collect flower petals. Trying to have a drink on kill in the game where you're not killing wouldn't work. So you need to know what happens in your game in order to figure out what drinks. So it'll be up to you, the people who have played the game the most, because there are definitely people, like Claire's played like Call of Duty and all the shooter games that I can't even begin to start because my hand-eye coordination is terrible. And she would know way more about making a drinking game for that than I would over something like Stellaris or Civ 6, which is my wheelhouse. So we have a couple common ones here that you can start taking a look at. And one of the most common and most basic is probably drink on death. If you die, something went wrong, you messed up, you take a drink. Sometimes when dying is part of the experience, like with a roguelike, it should be a lighter drink, or if it's a survival game where the whole point is to not die, it should maybe be a heavier drink. On the other hand, we have drink for placement. If you are playing a PvP game like a Mario Kart, any multiplayer online game, really competitive Wii Sports bowling, because I know, isn't there like a 100-player bowling in the new Switch sports game or something? Yeah. You can either drink for your placement, so first place takes 1 drink, second place takes 2 drinks, or if you're playing with a smaller group of people, you can actually invert that. The person that is in first is doing too well. They need to be more inebriated to even out the playing field. So the person in first would then take, if you're in a group of 4 sips. The person in second would take 3, etc., etc.
Make
Basically,
them
you
both
kinda-
drunk.
You want to basically balance out the playing field through alcohol.
Because if one person is doing well and everyone else is getting trashed because of it, that one person's not going to ever have the chance to get drunk themselves. And when you're the only sober person in the room of drunk people, as I'm sure a few of you might have been before, it's not fun. Not fun. So, punishment shots. This is something that we talked about, or that I talked about when I showed the Drunk Rock Galactic. We decided to split up the severity into sips and shots. For using shots for the rarer, more impactful events that happen less often. Like we said, the bulk detonator or the
Dreadnought Swarm.
Dreadnought Swarm. This isn't necessary. It's a nice addition to the game to give it a little bit more depth, but sometimes you might not have the resources on hand to do it. So generally we have some sort of conversion between the two. Like 1 shot is equivalent to 4 or 5 or 10, however many sips, depending on whatever mixed drink you're drinking, and how much of it you have. And finally, like we said, sips versus shots. It's a balancing act. You don't want to have too many shots and not enough sips, especially if the shots are all edge cases, because then you're not doing anything when the regular stuff happens. And vice versa. If you have all of these sips options and like 3 options for shots, and you're not having shots, and your little mini bottles are just sitting there, sad and unopened. Drink the mini bottles. They want to die.
Or just pour yourself a regular shot. If you've got a full thing
This
of whiskey.
man's never stolen from an airplane before.
Of course, not everyone wants to drink alcohol. I know most of you here probably do. But for some of us and for some of the people that you might be introducing this game to and playing with, you might not be able to drink alcohol for a number of medical reasons. You might have trouble drinking alcohol personally for a number of personal reasons, and so forth. And it's always a good way to include those in your friend group that you're trying to play with, to add a extra set of mechanics that mostly align with the rest of the game. And I do say mostly because it's going to be up to the person playing as to how that's going to work. When you're building this drinking game, build it with your friends. And that friend who isn't able to drink with you should be alongside you building the game. Find something else to do instead of drinking. And that might seem like a strange idea at first, like what could possibly replace alcohol in this balancing act of keeping everyone equally inebriated. But you do have options. You can use it for something you're good at, like art. You could do a 5-second sketch or a 5-minute sketch for every time you take a sip or take a shot. And over time, you're going to get tired. As the person drawing, you're going to slow down. You're going to equally have the same kind of troubles that someone who's drinking is having without necessarily getting drunk yourself. To a similar effect, exercise, doing push-ups. But again, you want to keep your own tolerances in mind. Maybe doing 1 push-up for every sip isn't a great idea when the rest of the party is doing 100 sips that night, because then you're doing 100 push-ups. Maybe you're good at push-ups. But there are other options. Bean Boozled, if anyone's had that before. Take a bean. Sometimes it'll be good. Sometimes you'll not want to play the game for a little bit after grabbing.
Or throw up. That's another major
Peach
one.
doesn't exist.
Peach
trust the
never
peach ones.
existed.
That's the secret, Cap. It's always barf. All right.
The government is lying to you. Peach Bean Boozles never exist.
And I've also experimented with spicy candies before, which, if you've ever had them, are delicious and also very distracting in the middle of a game that you're trying to play with your friends and not eat too many of them.
Again, keep your tolerances in mind. My mom super loved those icebreakers, cinnamons, until she ate about 3.5 packs in one day, and then looked on the back and saw that the disclaimer went along the lines of overuse of this product may result in a profound laxative event. So since that day, she has been more lax in her.
No pun intended.
It was
Excuse
entirely
pun
intended.
very much intended. Screw you. I live with my puns. But yeah, as with anything, keep your limits in mind.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
And know what you're doing.
All right.
This was John, so this is
Right.
basically yours.
And because the inanimate plush can't talk, I'll handle this. Player consequences should result from player actions. That's sort of the big thing that we're trying to hammer home here. If the game decides, I know people hate the sheep sound in Minecraft. If you're playing Minecraft trying to get to like the edge of the world or something and you pass by a sheep and it baws and you're like, okay, 1 drink for every baa, and then the game decides to just spawn a ton of sheep on top of you and they all baa at the same time, that's not fun. The game just said, fuck you. And that's really sort of bad game design because it's purely random. There's no player interaction with it. So having that that extra added layer of player interaction with the result is sort of what will make a good drinking game stand out from a mediocre, bad, possibly hellacious one. And playstyles will vary. Some people are going to be better at the game than others, especially if it is a skill-based game like Deep Rock Galactic, or a racer game, or a fighting game, or any game.
You ever get your ass handed to you in a game of Smash Bros? A group of friends just absolutely destroy you.
Get them hammered, they'll get hammered.
The night. And it's also important to coordinate. Google Docs is really, really great for this because you can just give them a link and be like, hey, let's play this silly, funny drinking game we made. And then 2.5 hours later, you all want to die, but in a good way. How much is a sip and a shot? It's important to establish this beforehand so in the heat of things, you have something to fall back on. And that's also sort of part of the fun, is having the game up on the second monitor. You're playing Deep Rock Galactic, an exploder goes off in the background, one of your Steves dies, the scout dies from fall damage. You're trying to figure out who has to drink what and not, die to the swarm in the first place. And it's part of that hecticness, trying to do extra from the game. That is also a huge part of the experience, not just the game. So let's put this information to use.
Who wants to make a drinking game?
All right, so before we get going, I do need to put out one thing. Do any of y'all know what the game King's Cup is? Yeah. Okay, for those who don't, welcome to probably the most disgusting thing you'll probably hear in your life. So King's Cup works by, in some way, there's what I call splashing the cup, which means putting something into the cup that is kind of a communal thing. It can be your drink, it could be someone else's drink, it could be mayonnaise, an egg, whatever you can find around, you can put in the cup, basically.
Preferably edible. Preferably edible.
Preferably edible. Don't put rocks in the cup. Do not put rocks in the cup.
But with that in mind, this is what we were kind of coming up with. Mario Party is a very, very long game. And so with that, the idea was, because of this, there's going to be a lot of chances to be splashing the cup just in regular gameplay, and then add in other factors. That was just kind of what we were going with. You would have a full cup of what is essentially everything. A beverage of the gods, if one might say. But we decided, hey, we're going to teach you kind of how to make a drinking game, and we're going to let y'all make the drinking game yourselves, adding rules or probably even balancing out or workshopping it while we're here.
Mm-hmm. So, yep, sorry for the flashbang.
We are going to be asking you for audience participation.
Mm-hmm.
Just come up here, and I'll give you the mic.
As we also have a mic that can be passed around. As you can see, we have the 2 rules in place. First place in any minigame gets to splash the cup, and winner of the entire game at the end drinks it, because they were very obviously too sober. So, do we have anyone to start us off?
Any volunteers?
Right there up in front, Mr. Blackshirt.
Yeah, we saw your hand first.
All right.
I would say, just because of how irregularly it happens, I'd say shot for Bowser's Bases.
Bowser Spaces?
And honestly, if you guys have any ideas, just come up and you can form a line if you want to.
This is not going to be balanced. The first drafts never are. But that's part of what's going to make this one so great. And at the end, I'll show it right now. We're going to have a link to both the Deep Rock Galactic drinking game and the King Koopa's Cup. You can take a picture of it. We've got QR codes. We've got the links if you want to enter them in by hand.
We'll be showing this at the end of the panel
We'll be showing
again.
this at the end as well. And so you can access everything.
I think a good thing for a splash would be a star. Very rewarding.
I think 1x.
Yeah.
1x get a star.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep the format.
I think another good punishment would be for losing a minigame. I just don't know where it would go. I think that would be a sip.
Yeah, I think for that one, yeah, definitely a sip for losing. Just because obviously you're kind of the loser. You're kind of the one that needs to go back up.
Right.
So first, technical question, is this any specific Mario Party or just for all of them?
We are using Super Mario Party.
For the Switch. But obviously this can be tweaked and edited to whichever one you feel the most comfortable with.
All right, and then I'd suggest a sip for landing on a red space.
All right.
Yes, Mario Superstars is an option. Any Mario game.
Yeah, we were just saying
Mario
any
Party.
Mario Party,
Mario
but
Party.
we were just using the most recent one because.
Which one's
Yes,
the
I'll
one
play
where
this
you're
for
all
Super Mario
in
Land
one that everyone hates? In one little like car that everyone hates?
That's
Yeah, I think that was the one for the Wii 10.
9 or 10.
Right.
Yeah. Not that one. Everyone hates that one.
And you get a ton
liked
of
it.
stars,
Kidding.
so it would probably be way out of bounds.
I like mechanics that kind of re-handicap the game, re-even things up if someone's getting an advantage. So I like the idea of having to take some kind of a penalty drink if you win a 1 versus 3 mini game as the one, because clearly you're outplaying everyone and you need to be slowed down a notch.
Definitely.
All right. What are you thinking? Sip, shot?
I say a shot because you had to beat 3 people.
sounds right, but you would have to calibrate.
Yeah, because you did beat 3 people. and
Tentatively, a shot.
Those 3 people were coordinating, so yeah, that's definitely a shot.
Plus, in my experience, 1v3s aren't very common. It's usually, yeah.
I can spell.
Nice job.
If you take a poison mushroom when you think you're taking a regular big mushroom, take a shot.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
That
where
is
we
a
go
force
with.
multiplier.
But that is also you decided to take the gamble on it, and it came up double zeros.
Alrighty.
Having coins or stars stolen from you as a sip, just as a little extra, like, punishment for the steely.
Yeah, obviously you were the one who was up above, therefore you should be the one punished. I think another one kind of going off of that is if you have items stolen.
If you
I think just saying
initiate,
anything's
oh,
stolen.
sorry.
Yeah.
If you initiate chance time and it does not go in your favor, I think that should be a shot.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Correct. Again, we've also got splashes here, people.
So a really good balancing aspect of the game is right in the last few turns of the game where it randomly selects one player, either somebody who's doing really badly or somebody who's like in 3rd place to get an item. If you get that item, I think you should be balanced a little bit in real life. I think that should be a splash.
Alrighty.
Oh,
So
a splash?
The
Yeah.
person who gets the pity item splashes.
Oh, yeah,
'cause
yeah. I think 5 turns. It's at 5
So
turns,
there's
not
like the
many again.
mechanic with Boo that you can like pay to steal a star. So if you have the gall to pay to steal a star from one of your friends, I think you should also get to throw a splash in.
Here's the real question. Does that double up with getting a star normally?
Yes.
Yes? All right.
Oh, that should be it's a double. Another thing is there is like I think in Super Mario, the Superstars one, you can steal multiple stars from people. It's like a super amount. I think that should also stack with it. Yeah. So it's a steal per star.
So if it's one of the mini games where players get gradually eliminated, if the last 2 players are Luigi and Waluigi, everybody does a shot.
Why is that so tiny?
Why is
Yeah,
that?
house rule right there.
It's still so tiny.
I'll figure it out later.
We punish fiscal irresponsibility. Shots if you can't afford a star.
That is deserved.
Maybe 2.
Shot if you can. What?
If you can't afford a star.
Quick, think on your toes. Come on, get another one in.
So we have people that drink and don't pay attention, and one of the things we always get people on is if you look at the map, just whenever. If you look at the map, take a drink.
Perfect.
We have had someone take at least 20 drinks from that, because they do it every turn, and they always forget.
Nice.
It would get me. I am constantly looking at the map.
I'm trying to think, because you can have the option to roll 2 dice.
Right.
If you get snake eyes, I feel like there has to be something really bad if you get snake eyes. It does not happen.
I got something
literally
better.
at all.
I got something better. If it's like any of the 2 or 3 dice, if you get 1s or all 6s, you should be able to splash.
Snake eyes or spider eyes, got it.
So
Would that sound good to you?
Wait, 6s?
I was really tempted because of how infrequent it happens. Make it something where someone has to take their entire drink. But I'm not sure if we.
Let's do it.
That's one of those things we're definitely gonna have to balance later. But I really want it though.
Does anyone know the rule of waterfall? Those who don't, it is someone starts drinking, and then basically what it is, one person. So I would start drinking, and then while I'm drinking, Claire over here would start drinking.
Yep.
But she can't stop until I stop. So everyone starts drinking, but once I stop, Claire can stop, and then so on and so forth. But it's only up to the person drinking to stop, and then go on.
One fun rule I thought of. If you gain or lose multiple stars, take a sip of the King's Cup.
Ooh.
Gain or lose multiple stars, take a sip of the King's Cup.
Multiple stars in one turn?
In one single go.
I think that should be if they were taken from you by like Bowser or something, not by other players.
I think it would be funny if it was both.
That is true.
Yeah. I mean, we'll refine this later. We're just jotting down ideas.
Again, this is the crash test. This is before we actually get to drink and play the game, so keep that in mind.
So this isn't technically a Mario Party specific rule, but it's pretty applicable to Mario Party. Every time you swear, take a drink. Applies to the whole group.
I would be drunk in the first 5 minutes.
Same.
I would be drunk after the first mini game.
So I think duel or battle mini game, number of sips inverse of placement order. So first place gets 4, second place gets 3 in a battle.
So
or
like the winners.
The winner takes more sips, and in a duel the winner would take 2 and the loser would take 1.
Right.
But I want everybody taking at least something in duels and battles.
All right, how are we feeling? Does that look like a good game setup to you guys?
If the answer is no, that's fine.
Yeah, if this is hot garbage, I mean, we did just crowdsource it, so like, whatever.
We're working on it. But this is the first step to building a drinking game with your friends, is you just ask for suggestions from everybody at your table. And as you go, as you start drinking, as you start going through your list before you're drinking, you can start to refine it based off of just how you're feeling.
You can see that.
Is there anything you missed that was maybe
we've got another.
better in
We
hindsight?
got one more.
I have one last recommendation.
All right.
On the last turn, all of the item shops are closed.
Uh-huh.
If you end up going to one of the item shops on the last turn, I think that should be a shot.
No. It should be a sip because that's last call.
True.
I'll keep it undershot.
Oh.
All right.
Could be a splash, but
I try to come up with a really cool. Look what
But
I'm dealing
yeah.
with here, folks.
Even our Deep Rock Galactic drinking game, which we've had since, let's see, how old is the earliest version? November 22nd of 2022. So, what is that, like a year and change?
Year and change.
Yeah, a year and change. It's still not done. We still have a couple things here that we need to rebalance, like use the pickaxe on terrain if you're a driller. Why did we write that down? That is a main mechanic of the game. It makes no sense to not use your pickaxe.
I thought it was funny.
Fair.
The driller character in the game has a drill as their main weapon, which damages terrain.
Main movement tool.
Main movement tool. So, as a character, they're constantly digging through the terrain without needing their pickaxe. It was a nice idea at first, but the drill does run out of resources, and then you have to use your pickaxe at some point, and that can become a problem.
And there were certain things in here that just straight up didn't work. Like this one was originally roulette, where whenever anyone found compressed gold or bitter gem, you can ping it with your scanner. And if you ping it enough times in a short amount of time, Mission Control basically yells at you to shut the hell up. So the idea was you would get around it in a circle and ping it like a roulette, and whoever causes Mission Control to lose their shit, they have to drink. In practice, this never worked because we could never ping it fast enough for that to proc. So now, it is whenever one of those things are found, whoever is the last to ping it has to take the shot. Which is actually something that is, A, easily a lot more measurable, and B, actually works within the game.
So when you guys go back home, and you try out the game that we made together, King Koopa's Cup, keep these examples in mind as to what to look out for while balancing the game. We don't want you to end up in the hospital after this panel.
Yeah, the big thing is you just want to have fun. You don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to hurt others, and this is all in good fun. You know, yeah.
We're not held liable.
He's the legal side of things.
Our lawyers said we have to say this.
Should we have brought a waiver?
Yeah.
No, we're not making them play anything. We don't
So,
need a
yeah.
waiver.
I guess that's everything. We were very fast. We still have about 25 minutes left in the panel.
We talk fast.
We should have brought one of the switches so we could have tested it live. Does anybody happen to have a Switch here with Mario Party on it?
That's all right.
All right.
Well,
I do see some hands in the audience.
Yeah.
What if we make another one with audience recommended game?
Ooh.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, we have 25 minutes. Let's crowdsource a game.
All right, new Google Doc.
Brings me to the question I wanted to ask.
Oh yeah, let's do questions.
How
Duh.
would you make a drinking game about like something that's not a video game? Let's say about Dungeons and Dragons.
It's actually very, very similar.
I think a big thing to do is immediately look at the characters. You have rogues, paladins, fighters, bards. Let's take it simple. Every time a bard tries to roll for seduction, roll. Drink. Nat
Every
20,
time-
nat ones, shoot.
Every time your rogue fails a stealth check or a sleight of hand or pickpocket, something that they should not be failing at.
As long as it's a game, most of these concepts will hold. Since even tabletop games, you can apply most of this to. So
all games have mechanics, and when you are drinking on a mechanic basis, it's going to be universal. With something like D&D, it might be a little slower. So because of that, you might need to pace things out more or increase the drink amount to balance it out, depending on how your party works.
Keep in mind, physical games have a lot more randomness to them, so watch out for that. But as long as you're being a little careful about where you input your drinks, it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Another thing I was about to say, you can passively drink during, let's say, like a game of Dungeons and Dragons or something like that. You can, just because I say that it doesn't need to be a passive drinking game, doesn't mean that you can't be passively drinking during it. That's just a thing.
Sir in the front?
So I was going to say, we basically did it with Mario Party without actually having to play a bunch of Mario Party for us to figure it out. We more or less did it from our collective memory of Mario Party. How much non-drinking plays of a game, or hours, or number of times, would you suggest you play a game before you're like, oh, I now feel comfortable enough to start adding drinking game rules to it?
So for Deep Rock, everyone in the creation process had played it to the point where we had at least been familiar with all of the classes, even if we hadn't played them personally. We'd prestiged at least one or two of the dwarves, so we know the feel of the game. And then we did one dry playthrough where we played the game normally and looked for all the things that we could attach a drinking clause to. And then we literally just wrote it down on the paper. Then once that game finished, we took a look at it, we organized it, assigned the weights to everything, and then we did a wet playthrough, literally, where we did the drinking, and it ended up being pretty close to the final version. Obviously, like with the roulette thing, there were a couple things that didn't work, but the actual testing that you need to do is going to be proportional to how well you know the game already. Because if you have a really good like game sense, you can then translate that to the drinking game.
I had a few dozen hours. I think it was around 30 something when we did it. So I wasn't super experienced in the game, but I was still able to follow along. And that's going to vary depending on how complicated your game is. For something like Deep Rock, where there's a lot of mechanics, it's going to be more complicated. But something like Mario Party, where it's designed to be pick up and play, your base game being simpler is going to make your drinking game simpler.
With like with the Drunkest Dungeon V1, you don't know what you could be doing, and other ideas could pop up when you end up playing it. The wet playthrough too. For instance, one of the rules was a crit in general was a shot. And then when we were playing it, I was taking way too many shots doing that. So we were like, oh, let's just do it. If your side gets a crit on any way, taking damage or giving damage or healing, what's up, then you take a shot because that is your side. But other things that came up, the 3 shots for when the collector comes up. Why would you do that? Well, it's just a punishment for the probably worst mini boss in Darkest Dungeon.
He's just bad. I've never had a problem with the collector.
You also don't play Darkest Dungeon.
Ignore him.
But that's just something you want to look out for. Just when you play through it, know what you can probably not even know exactly what you're getting into. But for instance, like we said, when we were playing Deep Rock Galactic, we barely ever had Dreadnought Swarms. Like once before we even thought of the drinking game, and then once we got the drinking game, the first game we got was like a Dreadnought Swarm.
So of the 4 of us, I have about 300 odd hours in Deep Rock Galactic. That was the 3rd one I've ever seen.
So we might have just been cursed. The game might have been listening to us, but keeping those weights in mind, sometimes you do just get a fluke. So don't immediately rule something out if you're like, oh my god. What's an example? I guess if we're just sticking with Deep Rock, like, oh my god, we got 3 Dreadnought Swarms back to back. We have to knock that down. Like, sometimes you just get unlucky.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
Any other questions in the audience?
Yes.
What do you got?
For something, what about making rules for games based around drinking themselves? Original games, for example, like beer pong.
Making rules about games that were originally drinking games.
So games where the gameplay is drinking.
Just making your own game.
Just making an entire game.
Making an entire game. That's a little bit different since that's actual like game synthesis versus just like versus
a mod,
like,
basically
a mod. It's gonna be a different part of your design repertoire rather. It's not saying that it's not doable. Like even if we haven't played it, I'm sure everyone here knows the very basics of beer pong and how to set it up more or less. And generally, the games that just have the point of drinking tend to be really simple.
Probably because you're also supposed to be doing it while drunk.
Well, massively inebriated, because if the entire gameplay loop is drinking, you can't be consulting a Google Doc that's multiple pages long. You will not be able to read. So the one that I know, there's a brewery by my place, Bunnyman Brewery, Northern Virginia. Anyone a local? Awesome. It's a cool little hole-in-the-wall brewery. It's got these like fancy new electronic taps where you have like a cart if you've ever gone to like Dave & Buster's. It's like that, but for alcohol. It's cool. But they have these little, it's, trying to remember how it is. It's like a big stick in the middle with 2 hooks on it, and you've got rings on a string, and you have to like pull the ring back, let it swing, and try to get it on the hook, and then you move a shot forward. And if you move a shot from the middle 2 places to your opponent, then they take the shot. So it's sort of like a shot battle, toss the ring type deal. So that's a very basic one of those. And again, it would just sort of depend on what, is it shots or sips? Like,
And that's not to say, like, take your life around you. What do you have? What do you do? What friends do you have? That could absolutely influence how you build that game around.
Yeah.
For instance, one drinking game I've heard of was called Wizard Staff. And you get a bunch of friends around, and you just start drinking beer, and you have your cans. Once you finish a can, and you stack it on top of each other, duct tape it, and then once you have a staff that is taller than you, you are now allowed to use that staff to beat up the other players. With the caveat being, once the staff breaks, you're out. That's it. You're done. You can't do it anymore.
I'm a good 6 inches taller than all the rest of these suckers. I don't like this game.
So you can make a shield.
Exactly.
But that's the thing, who comes up with that, right? People with a lot of duct tape, a need for violence.
Yeah, that's the only.
As the Midwesterner, probably a bunch of dudes with lifted pickup trucks around a bonfire that was definitely lit with gasoline. Again, look at your life. Look at what you have around you. That could absolutely be. That's why I created the Drunkest Dungeon. I was playing a lot of Darkest Dungeon at the time, and I was like, what would make this game make you cry even more? Realizing that I have to drink for it.
He was not in a good way.
I think I still have that video somewhere.
He doesn't work there anymore.
I don't.
He killed multiple people to escape. Just like Darkest Dungeon. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, right in the back. Well, not the back.
Yeah.
Drinking alone on a Friday night? No.
So Darkest Dungeon is a single-player game. So if you were in a voice call with somebody that was playing it and wanted to play along, you could. Don't play Drunkest Dungeon. That will kill you. But
V1. Don't play V1.
V2's okay.
But you got to get my permission first.
V2 could also kill you if you're not careful.
Depends on how much you play. Yeah. But yeah, when we were playing DRG, Claire was not actually playing. It was you, me, John,
I did play the second time.
You did play the second time. But when we were doing the original pass, you were just watching, and you were just sort of doing, because John also doesn't drink, so he was doing art tasks, and Claire was just sort of like, you know what, I want to do that too, and following along as well. So even with multiplayer games, if it is limited multiplayer, you can like find someone to attach yourself to and be like, I will share your burdens, but rather I will copy your burdens, not share them.
Not split.
Your suffering makes me suffer, so now you feel even worse.
No, I'm gonna feel better.
Yeah, except you don't, because of course you don't.
In fact, I'll intentionally down myself to make you drink more.
Why did I choose you? This was terrible.
I am the worst person to do that to.
All right. Yes.
What do you got?
How would you handle high-intensity games, like games where it's just constant action, like, for instance, Mario Kart, where you can't really, say you have a rule where you have to, like, drink whenever you get hit by an item. You can't really stop in the middle of the race. That kills the tension, right?
Right.
Get good.
So, the other option for that, so in terms of having somebody, or drinking your sips and shots in a high-intensity game, our best advice is actually to have a designated driver, quote unquote, to track that stuff for you, or track it yourself if you think you're able to do that, since that's probably a lot easier than actually physically drinking. And then drink it after the race is over, or the fight's done, or there's a lull in action, or whatever.
I do know, if you ever watched Grapefruit, He and his friend Lark did do, I believe it was Double Dash, where they would have to set the controller down in the middle of the race and like take a sip before they could continue again. Yeah, so if you want to make it that punishing, that's like completely viable. You just have to balance the game around doing that. So like, if you would do that, I would recommend to not do it like drink if you get anything other than first place, because you're probably not going to be getting a lot of first place if your hands off the controller twice, 3, 4 times around.
One that I saw, kind of with this balancing idea, recently I saw one that was for Lethal Company, and the entire thing was it was around all the random the things that could happen, but they were all just shots. There was no sips, there was no nothing. There was only shots and then group shots, such as landing on a planet was a group shot, or leaving a planet was a group shot. Dying was a shot for you, or something like that. It was like, no, that's just a great way to A, not meet quota, and B, definitely not meet quota when everyone's dying and can't understand what's going on.
Blackout in 45 minutes.
But again, it's just all shots. And now it could be remedied with the it's just like a shot of beer, Someone just poured a little bit of beer in a shot glass. But no, when you say shot, you think of hard liquor, and it's just, that doesn't sound fun. That sounds like you just want to torture people. Again, Drunkest Dungeon V1 was just a torture sim. So you want to make sure that the game is balanced in some way, shape, or form with the friends, or with everyone in mind. You don't want to just throw the kitchen sink at somebody right off the bat. You want to kind of ease them in.
Yeah, and back to postponing a drink until later. For the drawing format of the Deep Rock Galactic, Drunk Rock Galactic game that we had made. When drawing, you might have, I think one of the shots, we were doing a 30-minute sketch was the drawing prompt, and you can't do that while you're playing the game. So you can postpone that until after the game, and the way that we had done it is we made a roulette wheel, and we took a recommendation, or
it was a Google Forms blank fill out.
Yeah.
So he just asked his server, it was like, what do you want to see me draw?
Yeah.
And we got something like 150 responses over 2 days.
Which I only picked 20 of. I'm not that insane.
Yeah, the server has like less than 100 people in it. It's basically just friends.
I did see another question in the front. Do you still have that question? No?
No.
All right.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Questions, ideas for the drinking game?
I'm sorry?
Kingdom Hearts drinking game.
I think we are a little under-certified for that one.
I have never played. The only Kingdom Hearts game I ever played was, I think, one on the 3DS in Target. It was one of the the demos, and I'm like,
dream drop distance?
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Drink for every time you played in Target.
That's fair. I know the entirety of Kingdom Hearts lore, and that's correct.
Do we got another suggestion I heard over here? Not you.
Go ahead.
Oh, like actually? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. As a substitute for Kingdom Hearts, what about, it's not a great substitution, but Final Fantasy.
Again, very underqualified.
Any RPG.
Any RPG.
Fossil Fighters for the DS.
All right, well.
Hell yeah.
Mario
God,
and
I
Luigi
love the
Superstar
2 games
Saga.
in that series. Should have been more.
Yes, sir.
We're limited to just video games or any game?
Any game.
Fuck it.
Go for it.
Shoots and ladders.
Ladders, you have to give a drink. Shoots, you got shoots.
I mean, it's designed for children anyway. So.
Exactly.
And what's more childlike than drunk people?
Truth or Dare Jenga.
Truth or Dare Jenga.
Well,
I've heard
obviously,
about that one.
Anybody switches after being given a truth
Exactly. That would also maybe work well with the cup, where every time you complete a truth or dare, you splash the cup. Whoever jumbles down the tower, they fucked up.
Well, also you could do it with regular truth or dare. Every time you answer a question, you get to put something in the cup. If you decide you don't want to do the dare or the truth, then you have to drink the cup.
Sippy
and you get
sippy.
skipped.
Truth, dare, or sip. There's your title.
For those who might are in the back and might not have heard, you can also do it for regular truth or dare. Every time that someone takes a truth, they splash the cup. Every time they take a dare, instead of doing a dare, you have to drink the cup.
Or if you do neither.
If you do neither.
You then have the cup as a third option, as like a buyout for the round.
But do you wish to partake in the airport jungle juice?
All right. Well, it's just about time for us. Thank you all for coming. We got a really good turnout. And we got a really good venue, too, because when we did this 2 years ago, we did another panel for Flash Games, right? Thank you. My brain's not on right now.
They did. I wasn't
We were
here.
in panels 1, which was huge, and like 12 people showed up. So a smaller venue really made it feel like we were being not terrible.
Thank you all for coming.
But yeah.
Thank you all for coming up and talking with us.
Absolutely.
It really added to just our whole panel, our presentation. For those of you who actually want to try the game that we made today, the link and the QR code are on the screen. You can open up that document and look at it.
Full screen it.
All right.
We do heavily recommend editing King Koopa's cup for yourself because that is completely untested.
Yeah, maybe
off the
refine
fly.
that one a little bit more. But
We're not going to edit it. That's not our job anymore.
And then if you want to give us feedback, I probably should have put this on there. You can email us at 3weekgamesofficial@gmail.com. Yeah, plug our socials.
Do you have socials?
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't
Look,
work here.
Chris is the social media manager.
No, we just live out in a shack in Montana.
Yep.
All right.
In a converted nuke silo. All right, but yeah, that's it. Thank you all for coming out.
Thank y'all.
Have a great
We're
night.
going to go to bed.
Have a great night.
Don't drink too much.
Yep.